From Super League to Olympic distance to age group world records to Kona. Go longer with the right fuel at the right time with SFuels.
Swim, bike and run in the Kona sun. See, swim, bike and run in the Kona sun. And now it's breakfast with Bob.
Poncho Man, everybody. Oh, welcome to our 5th year Breakfast with Bob Championship Edition from beautiful Four Seasons Resort. My name is Bob Babbitt, brought to you by Master Spas, SFuels Go Longer, HOKA Let's Fly, Form Smart Swim Goggles, Quintanaroo, Zoot, the original triathlon brand, and our Challenge Athletes Foundation, a young woman who finished second for the 4th time in a row. Amazing race. Please give it up for Lucy Charles-Barclay. So this becomes a regular. We've done this 4 times.
Yeah, and I'm not complaining. I think it's always a big part at the end of that race when it gets tough is just push that bit harder because I want breakfast with Bob after the race.
Oh, what a nice person you are. So sometimes you get the same result in the same race, and one year it's like, I thought I was ready to win. And then this year, for you, getting second, that was a win.
Yeah, definitely. I think going into the race, maybe previously in 2019, the big thing was I want to finally win this race, whereas this year it was a win just getting on the start line, coming back from the injury and just being there. I was like, I'm not here to try and win. I'm here to just see how my body copes with this race and see what I can do.
So I look at you weren't able to race with stress fracture?
Yeah.
And up towards the hip?
Yeah.
That's a tough one.
Yeah, it was. It was around kind of March this year that I started to get some pain in my hip, and we acted really fast. I reached out to the team at Red Bull, and they got me straight in for a scan almost within a few days. And we did the scan, and it came back that there was a stress fracture in my femoral neck, which is not a good place to have one. I was actually lucky that the side of the bone that it was on meant that you wouldn't need it pinning back or operating, so that was a big win in itself. Yeah. But at the same time, they did say if you're not smart with this, then it can escalate, and then you would need it pinning and operating. So we just had to really take our time, be patient, and listen to those experts and take the rest that I needed.
And basically, they told you should start thinking about 2023, that this season will probably be nothing for you.
Yeah, that was one of the first things one of the consultants says was, Lucy, you need to write off this year. You need to be realistic, focus on next year. You will recover from this injury if you do that, and then you can come back and have a great 2023. And I was like, I've got big plans this year. I'm already going to have to miss a lot of them in the early part of this year, but maybe I can make the back end of this year and have some good racing.
Well, and you go to Samarin and have a great race there. You win long distance champs, and then you go to the U.S. Open. Now, that's a shorter distance race with Ashley Gentle and really, really fast specialists at that distance, and you're coming in really focusing on this race. And getting the bronze there, you had to feel like that was a huge win as well.
Yeah, I mean, going into that race, I obviously at the time knew that I had this race on the horizon, and whilst kind of a lot of people maybe didn't even think I'd be racing here, we were putting in the work for this race, and I knew that I just needed to focus on this, because even though I felt like the win was a huge long shot, I was like, if I don't respect this race, do the work needed, I'm not going to finish the race here. It's that brutal. So yeah, a lot of focus was going into the long distance training, of course, but I wanted to have a good hit out in Dallas too.
So when you're running along and you're getting splits on from Chelsea, and you know what type of runner she is, right? It's sort of inevitable that something's going to happen. When she went by, what was going through your head?
Well, I mean, I guess even earlier than that, when we made the turn in Harvey, I saw Chelsea and I thought, oh God, like, I know what kind of runner she is. So she was actually one of the main people I was concerned about when we made that turn there. And then we obviously hit the run, and I was feeling good, but when we made the turn on Alihi Drive, I could see Chelsea just flying along, like she just looked like she wasn't even touching the ground. And I was like, oh God, I know she's coming. I also could see Annie Haug as well. And I was like, they're the two women that I need to worry about here.
Right.
But at the same time, I know the training I've done and I need to just focus on myself if I actually want to get to the finish line.
So when you're on the bike and you led for so long, which you have here so many times, Daniela comes by, but you probably knew she had to work hard because she was 7 minutes behind out of the water, which is sort of what you want to do, right? You want to take something out of her so when she gets in the run, maybe she doesn't have her run legs. That's sort of exactly what happened.
Yeah, I think nearly every year, apart from 2019, when Daniela wasn't having a great race, I think she was unwell. She's passed me on the bike at some point. So I'm always ready for that to happen. But this year I was like, when she comes past, I'm not letting her go. I did anticipate it to be earlier than it was. I think we only had about 10 kilometers left on the bike. So I was like, I could see that she was coming up behind. And I was like, as soon as she comes past, we're going to go with her and just see what happens. And I managed to do that. And I think she must have obviously burnt a huge amount of energy to close that 7-minute gap. And everyone has to there's an energy balance, I guess. And to do that, it's going to take its toll. So to come out onto the run with Daniela was really cool. And obviously I have a huge amount of respect for Daniela and the way that she races. So it meant a lot to just start the run with her, I think.
Well, and then when you go by, right, it's what I really enjoy with Daniela. She's really a good sports person. She understands when somebody's having a great day, and I'm imagining she probably said something nice to you when you went by.
I don't actually remember in that moment. I think we were both already obviously thinking we've got a marathon ahead of us, and I was just thinking, I was looking at my pace and thinking, well, I'm going well, but maybe I need to be running this pace. This isn't going out too hard. It's just about doing my pace. And with the girls that were behind, I was like, this might not even be fast enough. So yeah, I was kind of just in my own zone at that point.
So when I look at some of the greatest runners in our sport, Annie Haug is right at the top of the list. And you're running along, and she's cutting into the lead. And it's 30 seconds. And it's 30 seconds. And it's 30 seconds. Forever. And Annie said every aid station you go through, people would be like, she's right there. She goes, I know she's right there. I can't catch her. But you did something very similar in 2019 with Sarah Crowley, where she actually went by you in the second place. And then you went by her. You don't see that very often. Someone gets past and they dig deep and go by. You can dig deep. And I'm sure that comes from your swimming background and from just always knowing how to suffer. Could you feel how close she was?
Yeah, I felt like she was breathing down my neck for sure. And obviously we raced in 2019 where Anna Haug obviously won.
Yes.
And she did pass me in the energy lab there. So I was kind of just waiting for that moment to happen. I was like, she's going to pass me any minute now. She's going to pass me. And we made the turn in the energy lab, and the gap was actually still around 2 minutes.
Yes.
So I was like, this is okay. I'm feeling good. And I kind of judged how Annie was looking when she was running towards me. And I was like, she looks good, but she doesn't look like she normally does when she has that kind of just floating along. So I was like, we might be able to hold her off. But then when we got back up onto the Queen K, and I was being told, I think the gap got down to 20 seconds at one point, and I was like, it's only a matter of time, she's going to come past. And then there was people saying, she's not actually bringing the gap down, you're holding it. And I think it must have been with about 5K to go, I was like, right, I need to kind of turn on the afterburners now and find something to make sure that she doesn't close that gap down, and managed to find something, managed to dig deep, and managed to hold her off.
So last year you won your first Ironman title, Ironman 70.3 World Championship, and we were out. It was raining, lightning, thunder, everything that was out there. You didn't have locusts, but I think you had every other plague that you could have out there. What did that mean to you after being second so many different times? Just finally being able to say, break the tape, and I am an Ironman 70.3 World Champion.
Yeah, I think it was extra special last year because there obviously wasn't a Kona. So it was, for the long distance athletes, it was the biggest race on the calendar. And I was going there with, I wanted to win. That was my main goal, was to try and come away with that win. And to do that was just amazing. I mean, everyone could see the emotion there. It was an incredible day. And we'd had a kind of a rocky build up. I'd actually been unwell leading into the race. So I felt in amazing shape, but I wasn't sure what toll that illness was going to take. So again, it was just a magical race. One of those days where everything just came together, and with the weather that was going on as well, I was like, like, do not cancel this race. This race has to happen. Like, I want to get that finish tape. And yeah, it was just an amazing day.
And you led wire to wire.
I did. So yeah, it was a way to win it for sure.
And that's coming up in just a few weeks. You're going back to defend your title.
Yeah, we're actually heading out to Utah tomorrow. So not much rest for me, getting the body moving already. Obviously, I have a great team. I've got my physio with me, so he's already getting me ready for that race. And yeah, I feel like when you've raced here in Kona, when you go down to the middle distance, it feels like a really short race. So I'm hoping that that's going to help me a little bit. But yeah, I have a great memory, obviously, from that race. So I'm excited to go back and try and defend that title.
And after that, off season, or you, because the season started later, you do look for other races?
Yeah, I mean, obviously my season feels like it's only just started, but we've obviously managed to cram quite a bit of racing into this time already. So I think after St. George, I will go and have a bit of a rest. I'll let my body recover. I think it's really time for me to reflect again on the journey that we had to get back from the injury and just almost appreciate what my body has done and what it's overcome. So allow it to have that downtime and then build on to next year.
Lucy, thank you for always being so generous with your time. And hopefully we'll do this next year, and we'll have a little pastry something for you.
I hope so. Those cakes do look amazing.
They are amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, Lucy Charles-Barclay. That is a wrap from beautiful Four Seasons for Breakfast with Bob Championship Edition. Poncho Man, take us out.
She swam back and ran in the corner sun. She swam back and ran in the corner sun. It's Lucy in disguise with diamonds. It's Lucy in disguise with diamonds. And breakfast with Bob.
Poncho Man, everybody. Thanks, everybody, for joining us today. So fun.